Welcome to Fireside Home Construction. My name is Bob Burnside. I'm the builder and the owner, and I'm glad to have you with me today. I'm going to spend some time walking through our model home and telling you a little bit more about the features and the benefits and more importantly, a lot of the green things. This is a very green home, which of course is an important word these days, but I'm going to show you a lot of things which will help you understand why it is green. And one of the important things about this home is it's a LEED certified home. A lot of people might say, well, what is LEED? What's that all about? Well, LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It's sponsored by the U.S. Green Building Council, and they have 4 levels of certification: standard, a silver, a gold, and a platinum. I'm happy to report that our model home here is a platinum certified home, the very highest level of certification, and we're very, very proud of that. We were the very first LEED Platinum home certified in Michigan and only number 12 in all of North America. So we'll talk about lots of things, the features, the benefits again, and walk you through the house, and come on along with me. We'll take a look. Okay, one of the next things I'd like to talk about is getting into some of the structure of the house. And we're in the lower level here at Fireside Home Construction, but it doesn't feel like a lower level, certainly not like a basement. You know, a lot of basements are cold and damp. Well, this one's very warm and comfortable all year round. And one of the reasons it is because when we started underneath the basement floor down here, we started with 2 inches of styrofoam to prevent the ground temperature of 57 degrees and the moisture from coming up into the basement, which happens a lot. We also had another motive, and that was because we have radiant heat on our floor, and that helps to keep the heat coming up rather than being soaked into the ground. But once we put that styrofoam down, then we poured the concrete on here, and concrete floor is poured up against this block here. And this is a sample of an insulated concrete form, and this is what we've built our basement out of. It's very much like a Lego block. We stack them all up. The blocks come in 4-foot lengths and 16 inches high and 12 inches thick, and once we stack them up, we put reinforcing steel here in the middle, and then we actually that steel goes both directions through here, and then we fill it with concrete, which makes it very, very strong. It's very quiet, and it's very durable. And on the outside, we'll put a true rubber waterproofing membrane to make sure any moisture doesn't come into the basement. And that's not just that tar stuff, it's a true membrane. And then on the inside, we'll cut a little hole in here for an electrical box and screw that into the concrete. And then we'll run a little chaser channel on the foam here. We put our wires in there. And then the drywall goes right on the face of this block. So bingo, you've got a really well-insulated, structurally sound basement that's quiet, keeps the moisture and the cold out. So it's really a great product, and we've used a lot of these. Been doing these for 12 years, and it's definitely my basement of choice. So that's what we start with. Another nice benefit of that is we'll build them up 9 feet 9 inches high in terms of height. So even after the floor and the styrofoam goes in and your floor system above, you still have 8 to 9 feet of ceiling height. So it's really nice for a comfortable, convenient basement. Now I'd like to move into another room here in just a minute, and we're going to talk about some more features. Welcome to Fireside Home Construction's utility room. Maybe not the most exciting in the house, but maybe one of the most important rooms in the house. Let's start right here. I'm just going to kind of walk you through this room and explain what all's in here. It starts with our structured wiring panel, where all of your cables for your data communication, phones, and TV cable and so forth, they all come in one junction box here. So it's neatly handled and organized, so we can expand that or move it. Down here is a sealed sump pump crock. Maybe not a very exciting thing again, but very important. And this is a radon vent, so if you ever get radon in your basement, it vents to the outside to make sure we don't have radon coming up into your house, just in case that's in your area. And of course the rest of it is a normal sump pump, but it's got a sealed lid on it so that you don't have anything crawling out of there from underground, and you don't have kids getting in there, so it's a safety thing. I'm going to move right over here now, and I also want to show you our central vacuum system. And that hangs on the wall, and that's a green feature in that it helps us to keep the house cleaner, keeps the dust down, and it's just a much more healthy environment. So a really great feature. Also, it has an exhaust that goes outside, so we don't have exhaust air going in through the house. And moving over here, this is a very important part of our house. It's called a heat recovery ventilator, also known as a mechanical ventilation system. When you build houses as tight as ours are, you trap a lot of moisture in it from people breathing, showers, pets, cooking, and those kind of things. So we have to take the moisture out of the house to make sure we don't have mold and mildew growing, which has been a real problem in the last 10 or 15 years. So this unit, I'll open it up so you can see it here, is exactly what it looks like. And what's happening here is we're taking the stale air out of the bathrooms. We don't have any bathroom fans here, but we do have a vent in each bathroom to take the stale air out and allows us to get that moisture out of the house. So there's a vent in each bathroom and also one in the kitchen, and that stale air comes through this unit and then gets expelled outside, so it's going this direction. Now the other direction coming into the house is fresh air, so stale air out with the extra moisture, fresh air coming in. And when those two streams of air pass, they're coming through this unit right here, which is called a heat exchanger core. And it may be hard to see, but there's thousands of honeycomb-like cores in here, and when that air is going through there, it's passing each other. It's not touching, but it's passing each other. And in the wintertime, we're transferring the heat from the outgoing warmer air to the incoming cooler air at the rate of about 85% efficiency. So we're always changing the air in the house, managing that moisture, and also bringing in fresh air. So this really promotes very, very high indoor air quality and minimizes the potential for mold and mildew. In fact, we just don't have those problems in our houses. So there's a couple of filters in there. You're going to filter or vacuum and clean a couple times a year. Then moving this way, we actually have two geothermal heating and cooling systems, and this one right down here is called a water-to-water unit, and we're using Mother Earth's temperature to help heat and cool the house. In this case, it's heating, because that heated water goes through this buffer tank and ultimately over here to the radiant heating tubes that heat the lower level floor, the garage floor, and the master bathroom floor. So that's a 3-ton geothermal water-to-water unit. And this unit right here is a Vinmar HEPA filter, and this filters out the very finest, very smallest of micron particles of dust and pollens and whatever else might be floating around in the house. So this also contributes to much higher indoor air quality for you. Now we're going to move over to the other side of the room here. Well, now we're at the real source, real guts of this room, and that's a geothermal heating and cooling system. The most efficient heating and cooling system that we know of. This particular one is from Water Furnace. Been using these about 7 years, and I just simply have not had any problems. It's a great unit. Again, it uses Mother Earth's temperature to help heat and cool the house. And if you look down here, you see these two black pipes? Those actually go to a pipe out in the yard, and I call it the world's biggest hula hoop. It's a polypropylene pipe about that big, and we circulate water through that. So if you can picture a hula hoop about 3,000 feet around, we circulate water through that, and when it comes back in the house, it's always about 57 degrees. So it's pretty easy to see if we got 57-degree water circulating through here, how we can get air conditioning. And we also use that as a starting temperature for our heat. And when we want to supplement that, there's a compressor in here which compresses a gas called Freon. And when we do that, it creates additional heat, and that supplements the 57 degrees to get your heat for the house. We also have two pipes here which are part of that compressor system. And we run our domestic hot water through this system, and when it goes through there, it picks up heat when that compressor is running and helps to provide about 85% of our hot water needs as long as we're in the heating or the cooling mode. So this is really a fantastic unit and a big reason why this house is so energy efficient. In fact, it's so energy efficient with our solar panels we're getting ready to talk about. My last 2 months since we increased the size of our panels, I had a zero electric bill. In fact, I had a credit for the past 2 months, almost $30 in credits for the last 2 months, so I paid no utility bills and I'm getting money back, and that should last at least in October when we get in a little more heating, so we're excited about that. Speaking of solar panels, this is the inverter for the solar panels, and it converts the DC electric to AC to use in the house, and that's how we take advantage of the sun's power. And if we generate more than we need through our other panels here, it's actually tied into the DTE Power Company system, and we give them extra or give back electricity that we don't need, and we also get a credit every month for 11 cents a kilowatt hour for everything we produce. Now if we lose our power, we have a backup generator system here. This is a Generac 13 kilowatt system, so if the power goes out from the power company, this kicks on automatically. It's run by propane, and bingo, we got power for the house, so that's a nice feature. Here's our two electrical panels. We have two different panels, one for the regular house electricity and one for the geothermal system. In our area, we get about a 50% reduction in our utility costs for electricity for the geothermal system, which also operates our hot water tank. And finally over here, this is a tank for our well system. We have a constant pressure well pump, which will keep pressure up no matter how many things you're using water for in the house, so that's a nice feature. And finally, our water tank here, and here's the other end of those red lines we were talking about that hook up to the geothermal system where we're getting a good portion of our hot water from. Well, when we first started, we talked about the LEED certification, and I want to show you our plaque. Right here is our LEED certification from the U.S. Green Building Council, so we're very, very proud of that. And this one down here below is the Green Belt Michigan Gold Level certification, also for a model home here. Now I'm going to take you to the next wall over here and show you a couple more. And here on the wall are 3 of our 4 awards from the Energy Value Housing Award, which we received from the National Association of Home Builders. We're very proud of that, and this one on the top is for our model home here. Out of over 400 entrants, we're one of the 7 top gold award winners, so very, very proud from the National Association of Home Builders. In the middle here are certificates from the Energy Star program. Every single house we build at Fireside Home Construction is certified under the Energy Star program. And they're all 5-star plus awards, so that's a good thing for our clients. That means they're very, very energy efficient. And over here, 2 of my recent certificates. A couple of years ago, I was certified by the National Association of Home Builders as a certified graduate builder. And last year we received the Certified Green Professional. We were one of the very first in the country to have that certification. So it just shows that we really care about what we're doing, and we have a lot of heart and passion for our clients in delivering a product where they're comfortable and very efficient in their operating costs. Well, this is a panel that we use for exterior walls. Unlike 2x4s and fiberglass like most houses, this is another system, and it's called structural insulated panels, or otherwise known as SIPs. And our walls in this house are thicker. This wall is a 4-inch sample. Our walls are actually 6 inches thick, and our ceiling panels are 10 inches thick, where these are 8 in the sample. But I call this like an ice cream sandwich. Well, instead of ice cream in the middle, it's got expanded polystyrene, and instead of chocolate wafers, it has material, plywood-like material, but it's called OSB, and it's all glued and laminated together to form one unit. And they come in pieces as big as 8 feet wide and 24 foot tall in one section, so we can get huge chunks of wall panels or roof panels going all at one point. The other nice thing is all the window and door openings are already cut into that at the factory, so they fit the windows and doors perfectly. So once everything is all assembled, all the joints are sealed and foamed, so there's no air leaking in and out, and it's kind of like living in an igloo cooler. And it's one of the key reasons why our houses are so efficient to operate from a heating and cooling standpoint. A wonderful product that we've been using for many years. Now we're in the great room of the house, and I want to show you some of the features here. First and foremost is our gas fireplace, and this is a sealed combustion unit. It's designed to prevent any warm air from the house going up the chimney. So all the combustion air comes from outside, and all the exhaust from the fireplace goes out too. It also has a thermostatically controlled blower on it, so that when it gets warm enough, it'll circulate air throughout the room. We actually have heated this house. This is 4,000 square feet. We've heated this house in the wintertime when our power went out with this fireplace, and some days it got so warm we had to turn it off. And above that here you see our cultured stone. We've mixed up 2 different types of cultured stone, some larger pieces and narrower ones to make it look more real. So real nice effect, and you might notice got the logo on the fireplace to match my logo. How about that? My superintendent reminded me to do that. Well, and here we are at the front door. Well, you might say that's pretty exciting. Well, it is pretty neat because this comes from a Therma-Tru Corporation. It's a fiberglass door, and if you didn't know better, you'd say that looks like real wood to me. But the nice thing is it's not real wood. It is fiberglass, so it won't warp. It's not going to rot or split. And the inner core is made with polyurethane foam, which is a very high has a very high insulating value. So it's beautiful, looks like wood, it's very durable and going to stand out in the long run, and it's very well insulated, so it really complements what we're doing. And while I'm standing here, let's look at our paint on the walls here. All of our paint is from Sherwin-Williams. It's their Harmony line of paint. It has no volatile organic compounds in it. So oftentimes in the past we'd walk in the house when the painters were painting and you want to get out of there because it smells so bad. But in this case you can walk right in and you don't smell anything whatsoever because it doesn't have all those nasty compounds in it. So we're real proud of the finishes from Sherwin-Williams, including the nice semi-gloss on our trim. Well, we're in the kitchen now, so there's a few neat things here to talk about too. All of our appliances are Energy Star appliances throughout the whole house. When we're planning things, we're always looking and asking ourselves, is this energy efficient? Is this a green thing, or is there a better choice? And that's what we're about, providing our clients with information and the best choices. So in this case we have a high efficiency General Electric refrigerator. It happens to have wood panels on it to match the cabinets. Our cabinets are from a manufacturer that's using solid wood for most of the components, and no volatile organic compounds and all that nasty stuff in the finishes. So again, a green product. All of our countertops are granite in this case, which is a natural material. It's not a man-made material, which is causing a lot of green issues. Even all of our light fixtures throughout the entire house, even these beautiful aesthetic fixtures, these are all fluorescent light fixtures. In fact, fluorescent throughout the entire house. There isn't a single fixture with regular bulbs in it. The only exception is a few track lights in the living room, and the reason that we have those is to highlight the beam structure above, and we want to put those on dimmers, and I can't do that with fluorescent. But other than that, it's the Energy Star lighting package throughout the entire house. So lots of neat things here, as well as a low flow faucet for the sink. Well, now you can guess where we are. That's right, we're at the pantry, so let's take a quick look in here. If you just look in the pantry, you see that we custom build all of our shelves at whatever height, depth, whatever you like. We also use a semi-gloss finish on them, the same as all of our trim in the house, so it's easy to clean, very durable. I also have nice bright fluorescent lighting in the pantry there so you can really see what you're doing. Now we're in the laundry room, and it's a pretty important room in the house, and one thing we don't like to do is bend over to do laundry. So if you'll notice down here, we've built the laundry up on a pedestal so you don't have to bend over to get in the laundry. And these are Bosch high efficiency units, the rotary units, so they're using a lot less water and less propane in this case to run the dryer. So it's a great choice for your laundry. And opposite the washer and dryer, we've got a nice soapstone top, which is a natural material, and that's kind of an interesting top, but a nice look. And we've also used a quartz composite sink, which we really like. They're so easy to clean up, just leave no spots, and they're nice and deep and functional. And then of course cabinets to match the kitchen cabinets here for good functional laundry storage. We're also very careful with our window installation. In this case we use Anderson windows, which we use a lot. They're very durable. This is the top of the line 400 series. And but maybe even more important than the windows is the installation. Once we put them in, we seal all the way around the perimeter with expanding foam between the windows and the doors and the frame of the house to make sure we don't have air leaking in there. And very importantly, from a durability standpoint, on the outside of the home, we use a special butyl rubber sealing tape that seals the flange of the window to the frame. Actually, it's got Tyvek building paper on the outside. And all of that is put on shingle style so it overlaps going up so that no place can we have water leaking in behind the windows. We even put a rubber material on the wood window sills before the windows go in to make sure no moisture ever gets to those. So, maybe that's one of the things we're really known for is attention to detail, but a lot of times green things don't necessarily need to cost more money. It's a matter of taking time, paying attention to details, and doing it right, and that doesn't cost money. We have 4 acres here, but we didn't landscape all that by any means. We just have a small, what I call a cocoon around the house, which is grass and plantings, and we've allowed all the rest of it to go back to nature or stay that way. We really didn't disturb it, and we really only cut down a few modest trees, or a couple modest trees to build the house, so we always watch that too. You might have noticed the driveway outside is gravel, and that's on purpose, so it's pervious, so that we're not creating a lot of runoff and erosion in terms of respecting our land outside. Also, there's a bedroom above here, and we'll see upstairs when you go up there. It's just as warm, or excuse me, just as cool as the rest of the house right now, but that's because we put special spray foam insulation in between the floor joists, put styrofoam below that to really well insulate that. And all the outer walls and the roof, of course, have the SIP panel we talked about downstairs. So you'll see it's just as nice and comfortable up there, whereas lots of upstairs are hot in the summertime and cold in the winter. So we don't have that problem going on. Let's move all the way to the end down the master bedroom as we continue on here. Now I'm sitting in our sitting room. Great little room for reading or communicating after work or just a little bit of relaxing, but there's some important features in this room I want to show you, so I'm going to walk right over here to the wall. Here's the controls for the heating and air conditioning system, and maybe we'll take a little closer shot at that. So come on over here and let's take a closer look. Now these are the 3 key controls for the heating and cooling system. This is a pretty traditional thermostat. It's a digital stat, but this is controlling your heating, your cooling, your temperature setting. The one in the middle is for your humidifier, so in the wintertime if it gets very dry, if you're into the heating season, you may want to add a little moisture to the house now and then. It's important we keep the hardwood floors with the proper moisture. And over here is the control. Downstairs, if you remember, we looked at that heat recovery ventilator, that air-to-air heat exchanger, the mechanical ventilation system. It's called all those things. Well, this is the master control. And I'm not sure you can hear it, but there's a click here, and that's measuring relative humidity. So what happens is if this senses too much humidity in the house, it's going to turn itself up to high speed and take more air out of the house to get rid of that extra moisture. And you can change the dial here during the time of year based on outdoor temperature settings and moisture percentages of relative humidity, and to control that moisture and make sure that we're not getting too much. We want to be around 35 to 50% relative humidity. That's a good comfortable level. Any more than that and you start worrying about mold and mildew, which we don't want that. So these are pretty important controls. Well, now we're in the master bedroom, and I think I might have mentioned before in home theater, I'm not sure, but we do have a home audio throughout the house, so there's a control right here in the wall for the speakers in the master bedroom. It's kind of a nice comfort feature. And we also have green carpet, and what that means is it has a green label on it. There's a lot of nasty stuff they put in a lot of carpet. That's not healthy, it's certainly not green, so we seek out carpets that have that green label. While we're here looking at things, details. I talked about details before, but when you come into a house, you want your door handles to fit. You don't want paint on your door strikers and so forth. And you want all the screws to be in place. It's just a matter of detail. Again, I said I build every project like it's my own. I make sure all those kind of details are taken care of and addressed. Well, here's a little bit more of the outside at Fireside Home Construction, and I want to show you our garden. We're quite proud of that. It's completely organic, no chemicals or fertilizers of any kind except for natural. And beyond that, where you see the fellow working, is our garden shed. It's not quite complete, but it will match the house and just be another piece of the property. And just to the right of that, you see our solar panels. That's the 6 kilowatts we talked about before. So as of today, with bright sun and so forth, it's probably cranking out around 6,200 watts of power. And just to the right beyond that, you'll see what I affectionately call the barn, and that's kind of our construction central. And that building is built 14 feet tall above ground with the insulated concrete forms I talked about in the basement. It has insulation on the floor, insulation in the attic with a storage area above. And we're heating that building in the wintertime for around $70 or $80 per month with a radiant system in the floor with a gas-fired boiler. So great building, very functional, and matches the house, so we like the looks of it. We're in the master bathroom now, and a lot of cool features here too. A beautiful natural tile in here, as well as low flow faucets for the shower head. And if you look up on the wall up there, that little white vent way up high up there, that's part of that mechanical ventilation. There's one of those vents in every bathroom. No noisy, cold bathroom fans here. Just that heat recovery ventilator takes all the steam out of here. And on the wall here's a little timer, so if you're going to take a shower, you can turn that unit up to high speed, which will take more air out of the room for you and the moisture as well. Over here, natural marble countertops, low flow faucets, and if you look in the bathroom there, you can see the stool, which is a dual flush toilet. It only uses 1/2 of the normal amount of water for regular flush, and for heavier flush, it uses about 20% less than normal, so we're saving a lot of water. And up here, more fluorescent fixtures, and of course the Sherwin-Williams low VLC paint on the wall. So a lot of green story in this bathroom, yet very functional, very comfortable. We're in one of the upstairs bedrooms, and if you remember, I told you about my favorite room, the outdoor room downstairs. Well, we're up above that, but it's just as nice and cool in here right now as the rest of the house. So again, a testament to the structural insulated panels in the walls and the roof and that insulation I talked about below. A couple more things in here. When we're building our houses, we cover all the heat vents. So if you look down here on the floor, you see a heat vent. Well, we don't want those getting filled up with banana peels and Coke bottles and dirt during construction. So we'll use one of these, which we cover that heat vent with. It's got a foam pad on the back, so it lets the air come in, but it keeps all the garbage out of there. So it's just one more example of paying attention to details to make sure we deliver a home that's fresh and new for you. Now we've moved on to the upstairs guest bathroom, and there's some fun things to talk about here too. Now, this is a fiberglass tub unit, tub shower combination. It's all one piece for easy cleaning. Some people frown on those. They want a ceramic tile bath, but maybe in a kid's bathroom or guest bath that doesn't make sense, or maybe it's too much money. This is a very nice tub. It has a special coating on it, antimicrobial finish to make sure it doesn't have mold and mildew. And it has a tile pattern, so it looks like tile, but yet it's fiberglass and it's economical. We've also done something right here. This is always a problem joint where the drywall meets up to the fiberglass tub. Well, we've put a little piece of bullnose tile around there, which will take care of that problem forever. So again, just another little detail. Here's another picture of that dual flush toilet we talked about, and they really do work. There's another one of those vents for the heat recovery ventilator system we talked about. And also notice the walls. The walls in here are hand painted by one of our local artists. She does a beautiful job. Most people think it's wallpaper. Another nice feature here from a cleaning and durability standpoint is this Marblite top. It has a one-piece sink in it, and it looks like marble, but yet again very economical, very durable, and easy to clean. And more fluorescent lighting. So lots of great stuff in this bathroom. Here's a fun place in the house. We've identified this kind of unique little room. It's got a very steep slope ceiling, but what a great space. We've turned it into a kids' playroom. So when grandkids or young children come, they really enjoy this. So kind of like Sarah Susanka's book, The Knight's a Big House, we're taking advantage of all those really unique little spaces and making something out of it. And again, my friend has done the hand painting on the walls, which is very cute. Okay, we've gone through a whole lot of the house and now we're upstairs. We're finishing upstairs. I want to show you one other thing. Is look at this handrail. It's good and solid. You can put 10 people leaning on it. It's not going to fall over, but that's how we do it. We do it right or we don't do it at all. So I guess you can look at this timber. The timber is solid, and that's what the structure of the house is. It's built around these timbers and very well insulated and great geothermal heating and fluorescent lighting and all those other things we've talked about. And I'm happy to report for the past 2 months, with our solar panel system operating the way it is, my utility bills again have been negative. So we are getting near to that net zero where we're producing as much energy as we're using. And we'd certainly like to tell you more about that and help you figure out ways, either through a remodeling or renovation project or a brand new home for yourself, how we can help you. So feel free to call us here at Fireside Home Construction anytime. Our phone number is 734-426-4353. It's been great to spend this time with you. I appreciate you watching, and let us know if we can ever be of help to you. For an average house, let's say 2,500 to 3,000 square feet, if you were doing geothermal, they're projecting heating and cooling costs per year of $860 versus natural gas at over $2,000 and almost $3,800 for propane. So there's a significant savings in using geothermal.
It's a very impressive house. I'm especially struck by the wood beams. It's just a gorgeous look throughout, and we're happy to be here today.
Even though it's a luxury home, the components of it are, for the most part, renewable. It's an envelope to contain the heat inside, because so much heat is lost to the outside in normal homes that I would think that that combined with the geothermal are the overall most impressive parts of the home to me. The solar panels are interesting, a little expensive still, but I think that'll be changing in the future. So I think the geothermal component, I was really impressed with the underground, the utilities room, showcasing the geothermal, the heat air exchanger, the solar, the neatness of it all, as well as the longevity of the underground loop system for the geothermal unit. I think is geothermal to me is the most viable energy saving concept that should be in every new home. Every new home should be designed with it to start, and I think that there should be rules and regulations that make new builders do that. So I'm surprised that there aren't, actually, just because, you know, as I told Bob earlier, the expenditures on heating and cooling in this country are 50 to 70% of our total energy costs, as opposed to, you know, everybody's worried about what kind of car they drive. They should be more worried about keeping their heat in their home.
We live in a 6-year-old condo built by a major builder. We know it was built by folks who weren't highly trained, you know. How do you maintain, that's my first question, the workmanship when you're building these houses? I mean, the costs have got to be greater, I would think.
Well, not necessarily. I'll tell you, a lot of the things we do as a matter of just doing it right rather than spending more money is paying attention to details. And it really starts right here. I'm kind of a pain in the butt. I wander around and I look at my projects most every day. And as I said earlier, I do every project like it's my own. So whether it's my crew of six full-time employees who do all of our framing and so forth, or whether it's one of our trades craftspeople, they do it my way or they won't be here. So it's got to do with where it starts with me. First of all, my team leader, my superintendent, Mark's been with me over 10 years. His house is the other one on the tour I have on Island Lake Road, and he eats, sleeps, and drinks all this just like I do, so he carries the same amount of pride and drives that quality. And again, it's not necessarily a matter of spending more time as much as paying attention to what you're doing, just doing it right the first time. So.
And you're not a mass production builder either.
No,
so
No, we do probably between new homes and renovations, 15 to 20 projects a year and a handful of smaller ones. So we're not building 200 houses a year, so we can keep our hands around that.
Obviously, well thought out from the ground up.
Well, literally, were you very familiar with geothermal?
Not at all. No. So I learned something.
Well, geothermal is taking the heat out of the ground that's there naturally, between 52 and 57 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's extracting that heat so that in the winter time, the heat is being condensed in the unit and used throughout the house with a little bit of extra heat added to it, electrically, I guess you'd say, through electrical energy. And then in the summertime, because it's 57 degrees underground, that's cooler than the outside air temperature. So geothermal actually acts as a heating unit in the winter and a cooling unit in the summer, so that you're saving both on heating major costs as well as your cooling costs. So that throughout the course of the year, I think some geothermal units, it depends on the house, but between 7 and 10 years should be total payback of the cost, and then you're going to be spending next to nothing to heat your home.
Well, we didn't have one single dumpster here during construction. There was nothing that left here in the dumpster. It was either recycled or like the drywall was ground up and ground into the yard out here, for example. Extra steel banding and stuff went into concrete slabs, so we went the mile to make sure we didn't have that. Probably the only no-no we did, we burned a little bit of scrap lumber to warm up some fires for warming sand in the wintertime to do cultured stone, but that was more of a necessity than anything, but nothing's perfect, I guess. But to answer your question, there's a lot of pre-planning that goes into it. The whole house is planned, and we have experts, whether landscape design, architects, heating designers, all those come into play before we build a structure, which minimizes, again, waste or labor waste too, from that standpoint during construction.
Well, he's doing all the right things. My skepticism is a little bit about costs, as I mentioned in my questions. A small builder like him, and we've seen a few other small builders after we retired, are capable of doing really good work. But most people buy, like we did eventually from our condo, for our condo development, from a large builder. And it's from a large builder that stacks up as the best in J.D. Power's ratings. However, that said, they're building houses like the auto industry built cars in the 1970s. I hate to say that because that supported my education. My father worked for the auto industry. But so this is all great stuff. And I hope it all goes along and comes out well. And I hope Bob is correct that apparently what he's saying that putting the care into the building at the beginning and maintaining quality control at the very beginning up front offsets the cost of remedial repair. Like on our house, we had a 2-year warranty, and they came back. They were very good about that. So they spent a lot of money remediating things that they could have done the first time, and that may be the saving grace that he's able to do this.
I think so.
Somewhere near, economically, or at least not too much of a premium.
Right.
At least that's what I'm inferring from what he told us.
There certainly are some premiums for materials. If you get into geothermal, for example, like this house might be $8,000 or $9,000 more than a typical gas forced air system. But I also can show you, if you look at the cost of that infrastructure or premium for the equipment versus the energy savings you have, I can show you positive cash flow from day one. So those kind of things just make total sense. Photovoltaic, there's a clear upfront premium, in my case probably $18,000 net after all the credits that you'd have to account for. So those are true material cost premiums. From a labor standpoint, I really would argue that there really isn't a premium because, as I said, a lot of it is free. It's just doing it right the first time. And the other thing is we still have to remain competitive. Even though we're doing a better job in a lot of ways or providing a greener home, people will generally expect to pay maybe 3 to 5% more for a really green home versus a non-green home for the basic things, not photovoltaic and things. So that forces us to keep our labor saving or labor costs in a relative line. Otherwise, we don't sell any houses. So the market still drives what's going on. So I would say there's not a whole lot of extra costs from the labor standpoint. It's more materials and choices in that regard.
I'm smiling because I would like to think of people like you being the Toyota of the building industry. You know, Toyota came 40 years ago and started showing the people in my hometown how to build cars, and we need something like that for houses.
Yeah, and there are a lot.
I say that as a new homeowner. I'm 6 years old, and
right.
I know all the problems we've had.
Exactly.
And so
I am encouraged at what I see. If you go to the International Building Show, I mean, it's green throughout from top to bottom. So they've come a long way. Not nearly fast enough, not nearly enough, but it's going the right direction. So that's encouraging.
They also have geothermal that they are much larger systems whereby they're using them to heat whole new developments or parts of cities. They use it in Iceland. They use it around the world. There are very large geothermal heat exchange units, and then they pump out the heat to different buildings. So this is on a home basis, but it also can be used on a much larger basis for a development, a condominium development. There's some new cities in Canada that are being built around a geothermal system. So I would say when it's time to replace your furnace or your air conditioner, I would go geothermal. I would say that is the most energy efficient green technology that's available right now.